This is an example of poor professional boundaries. Carlos, a 40-year-old carer in a nursing home, often provides care for Jerry, a 72-year-old resident with Alzheimer's disease. Carlos has come to Jerry's room to assist him to the dining room for supper. Carer Carlos says to Jerry, "It's dinner time. Are you ready to go?" Jerry smiles at Carlos and says, "Ready." But then Jerry returns to watching TV. Carlos brings Jerry's walker to him, but Jerry continues to stare at the TV. After several attempts to get Jerry up, Carlos becomes angry. He walks out of Jerry's room muttering to himself, "The heck with Jerry, he can just go hungry tonight. I hate it when he ignores me like that. He knows it's dinner time, he's just trying to annoy me." So the issues in this scenario. The first issue we need to look at is the poor communication. When an individual has a form of dementia like Alzheimer's, we know that communication is one of the areas they are going to struggle in. Jerry is communicating with Carlos in the best way he can. Carlos is not picking up on that. Carlos is not making any other attempt to communicate with Jerry. He's not trying other communication methods. He has just asked him a question. He's trying to get him to get up, but he is not responding to Carlos's behaviour. We have to think about non-verbal cues also. Key to that is where Jerry says he's ready, but he then turns and looks at the television. Now, Carlos should take that as perhaps Jerry saying, "I'm ready for my dinner, yes, but I'm watching this television programme. So is it possible I could have my dinner sat here in front of the television? Or is it possible I could have my dinner a bit later?" We have to consider the issue of mental capacity. Piece of legislation, the Mental Capacity Act, which gives back people the right to make choices about their life, to make their own decisions about things that affect them. We have to understand in care that just because someone has a form of dementia, it does not mean they lack capacity. This means that Jerry should be entitled to make choices about what he eats, when he eats, and where he eats. And Jerry is not being listened to. Carlos is just ignoring that. The next issue we need to consider is that Carlos is taking things personally. When you're working with people with dementia, when you're working with people with learning difficulties, when you're working with anyone who needs care and support, they are vulnerable people. Sometimes they will react verbally, physically, in a way that you do not like, but you do not take that personally. There is the understanding in care that when something like that happens, you judge the behaviour, not the person, and you don't take it personally. So the fact that he's saying things like, "Jerry can go hungry tonight," he's ignoring me, he knows it's dinner time, he's just trying to annoy me. He shouldn't be going down that road. He's not. He should be looking at solutions, looking at how we can make this situation better for Jerry. Then we need to consider the environment for eating. As we said before, if Jerry wants to eat his lunch or his dinner while he's watching TV, he should be allowed to do so. We shouldn't get too bogged down in thinking that just because we have a dining room, that is the place where all meals have to be consumed. Again, it goes back to Jerry's ability to make his own choices. Final thing we need to look at, the final issue, is the duty of care. As a carer, you have a duty of care to support the person, to look after their well-being in all areas of their life. You cannot just say, "He can go hungry then tonight," because that is ignoring his physical needs. What we need to do, as we said, is find a solution so that he can have his meal and he won't go hungry.